This evening, first, tragedy recovery. The body of a missing Chinese national is found days after he fell into the Demerara River during construction work. Ministers respond with a renewed call for worker safety measures. Thus, justice delayed but not denied. An 8-year-old murder case takes a turn with the arrest of a wanted man. Hear how this development brings hope to the victim's family. Also, Budget 2025 unveiled. Find out what's in store for citizens as the government plans to tackle roads, healthcare, tax reform, and more. And election integrity defended. GCOM hits back at claims of bias, emphasizing transparency in its hiring practices for the upcoming elections. Finally, Maduro's controversial term. Amid protests and fraud allegations, Nicolas Maduro begins his third term as Venezuela's president. Stay with us for these stories and more coming up on Headline News Update. Welcome to this broadcast of Channel 2's Headline News Update for January 10th, 2025. I am Bibi Bacchus. Thank you for joining us. First up, the body of Jianwei Fu, a 39-year-old Chinese national who tragically fell into the Demerara River while rigging operations at Pier 34 on Wednesday evening, was recovered this morning by the Coast Guard of the Ghana Defense Force. Following the recovery, the body was handed over to the Ghana Police Force for initial investigation and subsequently transported to Ezekiel's funeral home in Port-Join, West Bank, Demerara. Fu had gone missing on Wednesday evening after falling into the river during the rigging operation. He was offloading materials from a barge when he slipped and was swept away by the swift currents. Emergency response team, with the assistance of the Coast Guard and police, immediately launched search and rescue operations. Despite extensive efforts, including the deployment of a diver, the worker's body was located and retrieved this morning. Minister of Home Affairs Robertson Ben visited the site during the search to oversee the operations and offer condolences to the Fu's family. He also emphasized that the Ministry of Home Affairs and the Occupational Health and Safety Department are thoroughly investigating the incident. Minister of Public Works Bishop One Edgehill, while extending condolences, emphasized the government's commitment to workers' safety and admonished the contractor to ensure all safety measures are immediately implemented to guarantee the well-being of all workers for the remainder of the project. In other news, nearly 8 years after the tragic 2017 murder of Balwan Ramsaran, a breakthrough has finally been made. More from Malcolm Carter.
Rishiram Persad, a 35-year-old laborer from farm or her selling East Bank Demerara, was arrested on Thursday evening, nearly 8 years after being wanted in connection with the 2017 murder of Balwan Ramsaran. Police officers on patrol acted on information received and apprehended Persad around 7 p.m. last evening. Upon being cautioned, Persad admitted to assaulting Ramsaran. He was taken into custody, and efforts are now being made to locate the case file for further investigation. The case dates back to the Tuesday morning of April 19, 2017, when Ramsaran, a 41-year-old father of two, died at the Georgetown Public Hospital just 2 days after being brutally beaten with a piece of wood during a brawl at a rum shop in the Hurstelling squatting area. The attack occurred after Ramsaran, who was drinking at the shop, got into an argument with a group of young men known to taunt him when intoxicated. Witnesses reported that Persad left the scene, returned with a piece of wood, and dealt multiple blows to Ramsaran's head and body. Ramsaran's teenage daughter rushed him to the hospital, but he succumbed to his injuries after being declared brain dead. The arrest brings renewed hope to Ramsaran's family, who have long called for justice after the tragic incident. Reporting for Headline News Update, Malcolm Carter.
Thanks, Malcolm. Budget 2025 will be presented in Parliament on Friday, January 17, as announced by Senior Minister Dr. Ashni Singh. Dr. Barjaglio, General Secretary of the People's Progressive Party, and who also holds the position of Vice President, during one of his weekly press conferences on Thursday, said the budget will focus on addressing community issues that citizens raised during the government's meeting across the country last year. Dr. Jaglio emphasized that the government will focus more on areas that have been neglected, like roads, health facilities, and community grounds. Over the past years, 4,000 kilometers of roads have been paved, and this work will continue in 2025. The budget will also address waste management, improve garbage collection, and fund the maintenance of cemeteries. In the area of tax reform, the government aims to allow hardworking citizens to keep more of their income, which will increase disposable income for both public and private sector workers. The vice president said a significant $10 billion will be allocated to help those who have contributed to the national insurance scheme but do not meet the pension requirements. The overall focus of the budget is on improving the living conditions of citizens and supporting economic growth across the country, Dr. Jadio noted. Stick around when we return. JCOM dismisses allegations of partisan appointments and election rigging. And President Ali ensures $24 million compensation for Quinton Backus' family.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny?
I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, Lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Furnishing your home or office has never been easier. Here at Kissoon's, our inventory of locally made and imported furniture, offered at amazing prices, will leave you wanting more. From vinyl, floor rugs and carpets, bedroom, dining and living room sets, mattresses, pillows, office desk, chairs and filing cabinets, outdoor benches and tables. We have a piece of furniture for every room imaginable in your home or office. Check out our flagship store at Industrial Site Rijnveld or one of our branches in New Amsterdam, Port Morant, Riverton and Camp Street. Kissoon's Furniture, furnishing homes for over 50 years.
Sneakily with a gift of sight from Modern Optical Services. Let our professional team examine and prescribe what's best for your eyes. Common smiles make fashionable faces. See us for a full line of optical services, including brand name and prescription eyewear. Modern Optical Services, 316 Mill Street, Georgetown. Telephone 226-1082.
Welcome back. A young food vendor charged with armed robbery has been granted bail after spending over a month in remand. For more on the legal proceedings and the court's decision, we turn to our reporter, Malcolm Carter.
Peter Thompson, a 22-year-old food vendor, was granted $250,000 bail on Wednesday after spending over a month on remand for an alleged armed robbery when he appeared at the Georgetown Magistrates Court. Thompson appeared before Acting Chief Magistrate Faith McGutsy, where the strength of the prosecution's evidence was debated. Thompson is accused of participating in a November 12, 2024 robbery at a salon on Durban Street Lodge, Georgetown. Armed with a handgun and accompanied by others, he allegedly stole valuables worth over $3.4 million, including cash, gold jewelry, and a handbag. At his initial hearing, the prosecution argued against bail, citing the seriousness of the offense and the victim's claim of being able to identify Thompson. On Wednesday, Thompson's new attorney, Nigel Hughes, challenged the reliability of the video footage submitted as evidence. Hughes pointed out that the security footage did not identify the suspects due to poor angles and obstructions. The prosecution's claim that Thompson could be determined by a mark on his hand was also disputed. While acknowledging the gravity of the allegation, Magistrate McGutsy granted bail, citing insufficient evidence. However, Thompson will have to report regularly to the police, and his next court appearance is scheduled on February 5, 2025. Reporting for Headline News Update, Malcolm Carter.
Thanks, Malcolm. The Ghana Elections Commission, GECOM, has rejected claims made in two letters published in the Kaichur News on January 7th and 8th of 2025, which accuses the Commission of partisan bias and attempting to undermine the integrity of the 2025 elections. In a press release on Thursday, GECOM said the letters alleged that government-nominated commissioners and Chairperson Justice Claudette Singh were colluding in the appointments of key management staff, including the Chief Elections Officer and other senior positions, to rig the upcoming elections. GECOM condemned these allegations as baseless, stating that they were part of a misinformation campaign designed to undermine the public confidence in the Commission's operations. The Commission emphasized that its hiring process is transparent and objective, with vacancies advertised, candidates shortlisted, and interviews conducted in accordance with established criteria. The chairman also consistently explained that her decisions are made in a neutral and unbiased manner, based solely on the best interests of the Commission. GECOM further clarified that despite disagreements over preferred candidates, there is no evidence to support the claims that the hiring process has been compromised. The chairman also consistently explained that her decisions are made in a neutral and unbiased manner, based solely on the best interests of the Commission. GECOM further clarified that despite disagreements over preferred candidates, there is no evidence to support the claims that the hiring process has been compromised. The Commission stressed that the staff members are professionals who consistently deliver high-quality work. It also warned against any attempts to spread misinformation that could harm the Commission's and its staff's reputation. Assuring all stakeholders of its commitment to free, fair, transparent, and credible elections, GECOM reaffirmed that it would continue to fulfill its constitutional mandate and reject any efforts to tarnish its integrity. Moving on, justice for Quinton Bacchus, a young man fatally shot during a controversial 2022 police operation, has taken a significant step forward. Malcolm Carter has more details.
The family of Quinton Bacchus, a 25-year-old man fatally shot during a 2022 police operation, will receive $24 million in damages as ordered by the High Court. President Dr. Mohammed Infant Ali intervened to halt an appeal initially proposed by the Attorney General's chamber, ensuring the court's judgment was upheld. Vice President and PPP General Secretary Dr. Bharat Jagio disclosed the decision during a press conference, stating that the president made it clear there should be no appeal and the award must be paid. Bacchus was killed in Haslington, East Coast Demerara, under controversial circumstances during an alleged illegal firearm transaction. Police reports claim he attempted to sell an illegal firearm and fired at officers while fleeing, prompting a fatal response. In 2023, Justice Nigel Niles ruled in favor of Bacchus's family, awarding $24 million in damages. Despite initial concerns from the attorneys general about the sum being excessive, President Ali's directive ensures justice for the family. Reporting for Headline News Update, Malcolm Carter.
Thanks, Malcolm. Don't go away after the break. Los Angeles wildfires, California National Guard to assist fire crews, and Venezuela election dispute. Prominent opposition politician released after arrest.
Furnishing your home or office has never been easier. Here at Kissoon's, our inventory of locally made and imported furniture, offered at amazing prices, will leave you wanting more. From vinyl, floor rugs and carpets, bedroom, dining and living room sets, mattresses, pillows, office desk, chairs and filing cabinets, outdoor benches and tables. We have a piece of furniture for every room imaginable in your home or office. Check out our flagship store at Industrial Site Rijnveld or one of our branches in New Amsterdam, Port Morant, Riverton and Camp Street. Kissoon's Furniture, furnishing homes for over 50 years.
Sneakily with a gift of sight from Modern Optical Services. Let our professional team examine and prescribe what's best for your eyes. Common smiles make fashionable faces. See us for a full line of optical services, including brand name and prescription eyewear. Modern Optical Services, 316 Mill Street, Georgetown. Telephone 226-1082.
Good girl forget things.
Who's the
problem, Granny?
I want money for borrow for do a surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, lot 238 South Road, Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Welcome back. Now we take a look at what's happening in the region and around the world.
Good evening, I'm Malcolm Carter and welcome to our regional and international news segment, keeping you informed and up to date with the trending news stories from around the world. In South America, Nicolas Maduro was sworn in for a third term as Venezuela's president, amid widespread opposition protests and allegations of election fraud. Independent observers and opposition leader Edmundo Gonzalez, who claims he won with 67% of the vote, have rejected the results. International critics, including Colombia and the United States, refuse to recognize Maduro's presidency. Protests continue in Venezuela, with opposition leaders facing threats and violence as tension escalates. Meanwhile, Venezuelan opposition politician Maria Corina Machado has been freed hours after she was detained during a protest. She was addressing a rally in Caracas a day before President-elect Nicolas Maduro is set to be inaugurated for his third term. Al Jazeera's Alessandro Rampietti reports.
As she had promised, Venezuela's opposition leader Maria Corina Machado appeared in public for the first time in months on Thursday. Defying threats and intimidations by the government of Nicolás Maduro, she joined protesters in Caracas in a last-ditch attempt to stop Maduro's third inauguration on Friday.
Whatever they will do on Friday, it will be the end of the regime if they commit this crime against the Constitution.
But as she left, her aides said she was attacked by security forces and briefly arrested. This video shows Machado leaving the demonstration in a black jacket and helmet, escorted by security guard on a motorcycle amid a chaotic scene. Later reports said Machado was forced to record videos before being released. Her possible detention sparked swift international condemnation. But at a pro-government rally, Interior Minister Diosdado Cabello denied her arrest, accusing the opposition of spreading fake news.
They tried to cover up the disaster of their rally with a big lie, with a false positive. Immediately, they let it spread through the lying social media.
The confusing episode capped a day of protest across the Americas and Europe, where Venezuelan immigrants took to the streets to try to block Maduro from clinging to power, despite credible evidence that he lost July's presidential election.
I'm absolutely convinced that today we are ratifying our liberty. We've been suffering for 25 years, and this has to be the end.
Meanwhile, the opposition presidential candidate Edmundo Gonzalez was in the Dominican Republic on the last leg of a tour to gather support for his return to Venezuela. Accompanied by 9 former Latin American heads of states, he insisted he was planning to enter the country on Friday to be inaugurated.
It is evident that such a regime represents a threat to the entire hemisphere. We are living critical days in which the global struggle for freedom and democracy has its epicenter in Venezuela. The only way to respect the sovereignty of our country is to recognize the popular mandate of July.
The opposition is promising to keep pressuring the government both inside and outside Venezuela until they manage to start a democratic transition in the country. But with Maduro maintaining control of the military and all state institutions, he will most likely be able to swear in on Friday and remain in power. Alessandro Rampietti, Al Jazeera, Bogotá.
In North America, giant tanker planes are battling the Pacific Palisades fire, which has left the area devastated. Firefighters are making progress, but looting has been reported. Al Jazeera's Rob Reynolds reports.
Much needed help from above. Giant tanker planes flew low over the fire-devastated landscape of Pacific Palisades, carrying water scooped up from the Pacific to be dumped on the still out-of-control fire burning in the hills above. Pacific Palisades is largely a wasteland now, something more resembling a war zone than the affluent neighborhood it was a few days ago. Sue Pascoe lost the home of 30 years where she raised her family.
This fire is not going to take my memories away. I'm keeping my memories.
Memories are all that many people have left. The calming winds have given firefighters more optimism. While major blazes remain uncontained, fresh crews are coming in from other states and Canada to help.
Weather conditions are beginning to turn favorably, which will allow us to increase our containment lines.
While many neighbors came together to help one another, the worst of human nature was also evident. Police arrested a number of alleged looters who had been prowling the affected neighborhood.
If people choose to commit crimes, they're going to be held accountable.
The cost of the ongoing disaster is not yet known, but certain to be immense. President Joe Biden says the federal government will help pay.
It's going to pay for things like debris and hazard material removal, temporary shelters, first responders' salaries, and all necessary measures to protect life and property.
Residents of the affected areas have been evacuated, but even when the evacuation orders are lifted, many will return to find their homes and their neighborhoods no longer exist. Some people in this neighborhood are angry, saying that officials weren't prepared despite warnings in advance of severe weather conditions. And they say when firefighters did arrive, there wasn't sufficient water pressure in the hydrants to allow them to extinguish burning houses.
How come there weren't firefighters on my street? How come there weren't water in the hydrants?
Officials defended their efforts.
We also know that fire hydrants are not constructed to deal with this type of massive devastation.
The favorable weather should last a few more days before winds pick up again, forecasters say, and after 8 months of drought, there's no sign of rain in sight. Rob Reynolds, Al Jazeera, Pacific Palisades, California.
Finally, the threat of another trade war with the U.S. incoming President Donald Trump is weighing on Chinese consumer and business sentiment. Uncertainties about China's economic future have encouraged young people in particular to spend their holidays closer to home. Al Jazeera's Katrina Yu reports.
This expo in Beijing offers everything outdoor enthusiasts need. In recent years, the number of Chinese taking up camping, winter and adventure sports has surged, thanks in part to the COVID-19 pandemic.
People want to go out to enjoy the nature environment. I think the first thing they think about is doing the camping because it's easy to try.
Estimated to be worth $35 billion this year, the sector's growth has been driven primarily by younger generations.
China's youth have been hardest hit by the slowing economy. Fewer well-paid jobs means they're less likely to buy property or have children, at least for now. And that's made outdoor activities such as camping more appealing.
It's more affordable than a trip overseas, which has become more expensive due to the weakened currency. Across the board, Chinese consumers are looking for ways to do more and spend less. It's a trend the government desperately wants to turn around.
In 2025, China will implement a more proactive fiscal policy with an emphasis on boosting consumption and expanding domestic demand.
Adding to the problem, a stubborn crisis in the real estate sector and uncertainty in the global market, particularly around U.S. President-elect Donald Trump's second term. He's threatened 60% tariffs on all Chinese goods.
The Chinese economy will face more pressure. There will be more pressure on trade, which was quite a strong driver in 2024.
Exporters are feeling that pressure, including many here who rely on sales to the U.S. For them, 2025 is uncharted territory. They'll need to do everything they can to weather the storm. Katrina Yu, Al Jazeera, Beijing.
Thanks, Malcolm. In an update to Venezuela's Nicolas Maduro's sworn-in for the third presidential term, the U.S. has announced an increased $25 million reward for information leading to his arrest on the day he was sworn in for a third six-year term in office. This brings us to the end of the regional and global news coverage. Up next is the 3D weather forecast. And that's it TV2 Headline News for this Friday evening. As we take our leave, we invite you to follow us on Facebook and YouTube. We'll be off for the weekend, but you can tune in on Monday at 7 p.m. for more news. Until then, please take care of yourself and each other and do have a wonderful weekend.